Good morning. The topic for today is Through the Glass Darkly. There's a motto, Honi soit qui mal y pense. This is the motto for the Order of the Garter, the most prestigious order of knights in England, those closest to the king in medieval England.
What does that mean?
Actually, it's something very simple and straightforward. Evil lies in the eye of the beholder. Now, I was born in Canada, but came from Middle European extraction. And frankly, I can think of no two cultures that have a more distinct and contrasting approach to life and people in general than that of Canadians and Middle Europeans, in my case, specifically Hungarian. So nowhere is this clearer than in relation to the reasons we ascribe to things which defy common sense.
Well, can you describe for the viewers these differences?
Well, in Canada, or North America in general, when a politician does something incredibly senseless or stupid, we are likely to attribute it to incompetence. The person means well, but either as a result of events being beyond their control or their own inability, things did not work out. Now, the Middle European is not nearly so generous. They are inclined to see gremlins hiding beneath every rock and in every nook and cranny. So they are much more likely to attribute the same failing to malicious intent.
Well, maybe you can give us an example.
Now, let me see. Well, actually, it's all around us, in fact. A case in point would be the US political system. Recently, we have a series of disruptions, including the coronavirus response, then the response to the economic downturn, then the response to the social unrest, one resulting from the other, and then finally the destabilizing of the mail system of balloting, which undermines the whole election process. Now, given that the White House and the Republican Senate are almost exclusively responsible for initiating and enabling all of the four mentioned above.
Well, it really begs the question, to what end has this been done?
Well, we can take the position that each of the four reactions is an isolated event resulting from gross incompetence laced with corruption. Well, that's one perspective. Alternatively, we can look at them collectively as comprising a single sequence or pattern.
All right, just ask another question. Do you think this is being done by design?
Well, that is the key question, and probably it's really central to the topic of this podcast. So if so, it is highly unlikely that the powers that be simply came up with these tailored measures on the spur of the moment, in response to events as they unfolded. That's very difficult to believe. It seems far more likely that they all emanate from a playbook prepared well in advance. Now, a similar example of this from the recent past is the very quick introduction of the Patriot Act, something so pervasive and so comprehensive so soon after the events of 9/11.
Is this a bit like chaos theory?
Actually, it's a very good question. Yes, that is a very good way of characterizing it. So when we think of it in those terms, every system has a fixed capacity for disruption. There's what they call a negative feedback loop, which restores equilibrium. When you knock it to one side, it tends to come back the other way. And so it restores equilibrium within a certain range. For example, a wobbling glass on a table. Now, no system can withstand a continuous series of shocks without intervals during which it can right itself. So the individual disruption need not be great, but if a sufficient number occur within a tight enough period of time, the system will fail. That is to say that the glass will topple over.
Can we go back to the motto that you mentioned at the beginning? really has me intrigued. And how does this relate to what we're talking about?
So, returning to the motto, evil lies in the eye of the beholder, I think it is noteworthy that a group of ultimate insiders from the pinnacle of the game should have such a motto. It immediately implies that should anyone attempt to question or impugn the motives behind their actions, they are in so doing impugning themselves. So, at the risk of impugning myself, I put it to you in the audience. Are events surrounding the coronavirus response, the Black Lives Matter movement, the economic upheaval, as well as the preparations for the upcoming election, simply a cascade of bumbling and negligence, or are they a coordinated series of events, like a controlled demolition of a skyscraper, directed at creating a state of chaos? And if so, to what end?